at the outset that Imran is an unusual foreign service officer, and he has demonstrated that. I do not want to raise any question, but I do want to draw your attention to the fact that are you really persuaded that this humanitarian dimension or the narrative that he has demonstrated before you, was it convincing enough? And are there really buyers? And much more importantly, individuals do matter in institutions. And therefore, what one needs to sort of recognize is what does it take to produce a good individual. And one of the functions of institutions like ours is to focus on the individual and therefore create what one may say, yes, I'm proud of what I have produced. So you have seen one sample of it as he demonstrated himself and he pointed out to you, despite whatever Civil Services Academy may be or should be. Okay, but nevertheless, if you try, you do leave some impact. So please think of your questions. As I said, I don't want to raise any question, but Rahim, you're all set to go. Go ahead, please.
Let me just state, I'm part of faculty here, currently on sabbatical. First of all, I'm surprised by the candidness of your talk, given that there are so many terms and institutions and people who are not openly discussed, at least here. So I have a few questions. One is that yes, individuals are important, but institutions are much more important. So one thing that I would like to understand is that, and as you said, I mean, you I think expecting all individuals to work on Sundays, put in the kind of effort that goes into what you elaborated, is probably not realistic. Um, so my question basically is, what and given the environment, you said you've also worked in the Civil Services Academy, so you know the institution, you know how, where and why people join the civil services in Pakistan, and what's the sort of process of training and their sort of evolution in the institution. What kind of changes would you suggest, or have you written about it, in being able to transform the institution, rather than expecting that you have individuals who put in the time and effort and later on they go on antidepressants? So that's one question. The other question I have is that usually when we hear from civil services, I mean, some of the interaction we have is that they're too focused on laws and regulations, as you suggested. Um, and of course, the part that we're behind the scenes or whatever. But so that's sort of a supplementary to the question of, you are so, um, uh, how do you say it, captured by following regulations. So how do you really get by that without, as you said, you took risks, but of course with those risks comes, that you can be transferred. There is no security of tenure, as you know, for the civil services in Pakistan, especially these days, it's highly politicized. And lastly, I think uh, what one does not hear in Pakistan at all is, which again was in your presentation, is innovation. Uh, we're just not into innovation, uh, and that's in general. Right. Not into innovation. And civil services is sort of the last thing that one considers who would be contemplating innovation. So there, it's one question, But basically, I mean, really, how do you transform this institution without a revolution? So to say?
Uh, all points very well taken, very well thought of. The first one, opening on a Sunday or taking the risk. So, opening on a Sunday is not as anti human as maybe I made it sound. So, you had the help desk, you cross trained everybody in the help desk, the ladies that you saw. So, you cross trained them on the passports, you cross trained them on the visas, and so on a rotation, so half of the staff would get a holiday on Monday and Sunday, half of them would get it on Friday and Saturday. Yes, there were people like I've dedicated it to Amna. There were people who came on all 7 days out of their own will, who believed in the dream. But otherwise, it was it was a rotation. So if the government of Pakistan just issues one fax that you decide on, holidays are not important only for the mazdoor. They're important for the school children, because all days is spent on a working day. You lose school for one day. And for the poor, the laborers, they in Spain do not even get a holiday on Saturday. The illegal, they used to work on apricot trees, and the heat in which they work on is between 50 and 52, because in those hills. So they only got a holiday, and if you made them come on a working day, it meant a straight loss of 80 euros that day. So there's a logic in it, and the government of Pakistan, even if it slightly thinks about it, no revolution is needed. Just as to say, you're going to keep the embassy open on one of the public holidays to help the Pakistani people. By the way, the government of Pakistan can say that the most illegal of them give you the $30 billion, which have saved you from default. I mean, if you have to bring money into humanity, you have a very logical reason. But point well taken. It does take a lot of effort. Behind the scenes, this is the culture. If the government decides that a civil servant need not be anonymous, I can tell